Hi folks, how is it going? Today we're gonna make bratwurst, more specifically a Bauernbratwurst. And for this type of sausage I'll be using a dried seasonings. I'll be using seasonings from Batti and from McCormick and also from Weiberg. Weiberg is an Austrian firm. And please note, there's no any sponsoring from any types of seasoning I'm using it. So there's also no particular reason why I use seasoning from this particular brand. The other thing what I've done is I've prepared 5 kilo of meat and cut this in cubes. For this particular sausage I'll be using neck meat from pork. But the reason for this is because it's a muscle and also it has the right amount of fat already without the need of adding extra fat to it. On the casing sides, what I'll be using pork casing in the size of 28 to 30 mil. They are particular good cases what I'm using. I will also show you which type and which brand I'm using. So it's your decision what type of casings you want to use for later on making the sausages. Also, as my ice machine is broken, what I've done is I put a bottle of water in the freezer last night. It was helpful. Today I filled it up with rest of the water, so I got ice water, and this will cool also down the material when I make the sausages. Because one part is very important, that the meat is cold when you make the sausages. Because your hands will warm up the meat, so use ice water and don't use tap water. From the equipment side, what I'm using is a Kenwood to mince my meat and then also a sausage filler to fill, of course, the sausages. But you will see the equipment a bit later on anyway. The Bauernbratwurst, what we are making today, has 9 different ingredients in there. I will show you each ingredient, and also I will put a link below to descriptions about it and how much spice you should use from each different type. Also, in the same time, what I want to tell you here is I'm just developing my own app, and here you will see not just the recipes itself, but much more. So once the app goes live, I will also then post a link for it so you can download the app for free and use it. So without any delaying any further, let's get started. I will start showing you the spices I've used, how to mix them. And also I will talk a little bit about the salt what I'm using. Here, as you can see, I've made a mix here. This mix is made from those 9 spices which I talked about it, and I mixed it up already. There's 50 grams in here because with the mixture what I'm doing I need 10 grams per kilo. The other thing what I'm using here is the salt. This is Salz. Mountain salts. The reason why I'm using it also is because of the flavor. I don't want any salts which has added sodium or any other wannabe improvements in the salt. I want the salt to be as natural as possible, and the only way to get this is if you use a high quality salt. It's very important. You will also see that on the flavoring then. I'll show you the salt. What I'm using here now is I'm using here. This is the salt from Weiberg. It's a very good salt. And it isn't too expensive either. So I would highly recommend to use a good quality salt. The other thing what I've used here in the spice mix here, I used black pepper. It's just a coarse ground pepper which has been added into it. There's 1.3 grams in there. I use caraway seeds. The caraway seeds are whole, but I grind them down myself because I want the flavor as fresh as possible. If this one is ground in advance, you lose the flavor. Then I use a sweet paprika, also finely ground as well. This is actually to give, as you can see, the slight reddish color in the seasoning in there. And at the same time, it also helps a bit of color in the meat when you make them. Then I have used a granulated onion. The reason why I'm using granulated onion in this one here is with fresh onions, which gives you a better flavor actually. But the onion will ferment in the sausage after a couple of days because there's no preservatives in the sausage itself. So I would recommend to use a dried onion if you don't eat it within a couple of days. The other thing what I'm using is garlic, the dried garlic as well. It's ground. and for the same reason. And also for the flavoring, the fresh one would be better, but because we want this sausage to last a bit longer, we use dried garlic. The other thing what I'm having here is the muscat. This is again ground muscat what I'm using. We need a small amount of it because it gives it that extra little punch in it when you make them. Then we have cumin. Cumin we don't use much. Again, this one cumin is from McCormick, from any supermarket you get them. There's nothing special about it. Most of them are all the same. So just get a decent brand and that's fine. You'll be okay with that. You don't need much of it either. That's a small thing, is enough. The other thing what I have here is ground coriander. Normally I have a bigger box, but I ran out of it, so I also got a small box from McCormick. It's just ground one because we need a few grams in the whole mass in there. The other thing what I've done is here, because of the ice, like I told you before, I have taken here a bottle of water. I just put it overnight in the freezer, filled it up today, and just that water is now really, really cold and is ready for making the sausages. Here, as you can see, is the meat. What I've done is here, this is neck meat, and I already have diced it in squares, all about 2-3 centimeters each, and there's 5 kilos in there. Also, this has been in the fridge and was cold, so the meat is nice and cold, because we need it as cold as possible. Never forget, the meat needs to be cold. So now you've seen all the ingredients and what I use in it. The next thing what we're gonna do is I'm gonna mix the seasoning in with the meat and let it set for a couple of hours so the meat has time to absorb also that flavor, what I'm trying to add now into it. And normally what I will do is I will leave the meat overnight already with the spices and everything mixed into it in the fridge. And next day I will mince it and get it ready for making sausages. But for this video I will do everything in one go, so it's a slightly different process. So I got my meat here now. As I said, there's the 5 kilos here. That meat is nice and cold. I will now try mix in the spices, the ground spices. Just spread it over gently and add the salt into it. For 5 kilo I'm using 18 grams salt per kilo, so let's give it a good mix. As you can see, I have not added any water yet because I don't want any water in there yet. All what I want to do is actually just mix in that flavor, that spice, get it all covered nicely, and that's it. Let it rest a little bit then. So that's done, that's enough. So all the spices nicely mixed into it, every piece is covered, and that should be nice for later on. I got everything ready now here. I got, as you can see here, a 4mm plate in there. It's been tightened as much as possible, but at the same time I put oil on the plate and on the disc itself. This helps the initial grinding, in fact. So the meat is nearly minced, everything now. As you can see also there's a nice cut in there, so I'm using sharp blades. If the cut from the mincer isn't right, then tighten this one here. It should be a clean cut, otherwise it's just pulling on the fiber of the meat and you have that stringy sausage stuff which you don't have here, you can see. So that's the end of it. So that's all done. You see, no strings in there. It's everything a clean cut, which is very important. So as the meat is now minced and everything and prepared for it to be mixed, I've cleaned up in the meantime a little bit, so I got room here again. And what we're gonna do is now is I'll show you what the texture should be after you mix the meat by hand. Okay folks, so what I've here is I have now taken the ice water, which was frozen before, and I've used here 1/4 liter. I poured a quarter of a litre in and I use a second one. So on the 5 kilo I'll be using a half litre of ice water. That half litre is about 10% water. Now we're going to mix it, give it a good mix in here. And you see it looks sloppy at the moment, but that is okay because we need to get the water in there. The meat will absorb the water and also becomes like a sticky dough. That's when the protein of the meat comes on top of it and starts binding. And that's what we want to achieve. So, keep mixing this here. It becomes sticky over time. And the meat is nice and cold now, which is important. There we go. You can see it starts binding. And why I'm using gloves, simple as that, because when you mix the meat by hand, the meat releases also the protein as the fat. And you would have other fat streaks on your fingers, and that way with the gloves you don't have it. And hygiene, of course, as well. You have no meat under your fingernails and things like that. So I'm gonna mix this now until it's done. It will take a few minutes now. I will come back to it when I'm done. So the meat is now mixed properly. So when you look at it here, it's a nice texture and everything. If I turn it around, it sticks to the fingers. That's what you want. You see, that's then ready. So I prepare the filler now and prepare the casings and we start filling. Alright, so what I've done is now I've prepared the filler. I cooled it down as well and rinsed it with cold water to keep everything nice and cold as much as possible. What I will do is now is I add the meat into it and push it down to get the air out as much as possible, because this is not a vacuum filler, and because of that you always will have a little bit of air in there. So you see that's a 10-litre filler here, that 5 kilo. Yes, very low. You can see it's all pushed on nicely, and that's ready now for the filler. So I've prepared now the filler, as you could see before, and it's ready to go. The next thing what I will do is I prepare the casing. I checked, and I said before I used 28-30mm, which I don't have. The only thing what I have here at the moment is 30-32mm. Those are cases from Doug. There's 110 yards in there, or 100 yards. 100 yards is in there, which is 100 meter, which is more than enough. You only need a few cases. Casings for a 5 kilo, you don't need too much, because each casing itself is quite a few meters long, and with 30-32mm thick, so it doesn't take much. This is it. Here are the casings now, so let's get them out here. I have cold water here, not hot water or warm water. Don't use hot water, because otherwise you cook your casings. So let's see, let's take out a few. So they are in salt water. Every time when I'm finished with the filling and I have some casings left, I put them back in, but also put fresh salt in there. So there's more than enough what I have here. So let's get it on the side, and let's give it a first rinse, which is important. Let's just rinse off the salt first and get them soft, because like with the salt they go a bit stiff, and what you want them as soft as possible. So I have rinsed now, or changed the water now 4 or 5 times. The casings are now very soft, the way they should be, and I'm still using cold water. I don't use warm water for a particular reason. Some people even use hot water, and then the casing will go rubbery, and the cold water does the same as the warm water, and I believe it's even better, because like A, the casing stays cool, and B, you want to avoid as much as heat as possible. And I can see they are nice and soft. Those casings are in there maybe now, what's that, 5 minutes, not more, and they are nice and loose and easy to use. So I prepare now the filler itself. I will push down now to get the last air out of it. And here we go, so that's it, and get out there, push it out, so here. Now I'm gently pushing forward till the first meat is coming. Here we go, so the first meat is coming. That's it, I don't do more, I take this away. And what I will do is I rub this this meat a little bit around the nozzle here, just in the beginning. That greases the point here, and always checking the same time I check if there's no sharp edges on it, because that will cut your casing. So let's take one casing here. So I'm showing now. I have one. What I do is here, you see I hold it with the finger, can you see that? Yes, you can. So there's a short casings here. Then the other thing what I do is, people sometimes fiddling along to find the opening. You don't need to. So what I do is, I have it right, when it comes out, there's the end here, and just spread it gently here. And you see you're coming to the opening. And once you have the opening, put 2 fingers in here. That's a sheep, a pork casing, a 32, also about 28 will work, even if you got a sheep casing, a smaller one. And then with the 2 fingers, just spread it open so you get opening. Tip it in a few times. So what I'm doing here now is, I'm putting water inside the casing. You can see that here. There's a bit of water, and what this water does as well is, it rinses the casing inside, but also softens it on top of it a little bit more, which is important. And then once I have that, I pull it over and I pull back, so I get the casing on. But what I will do is here is, I use my fingers here, you see this, the index finger here, and the next fingers I put over the casing. So I have a little run here, and when I push back, I push those 2 fingers together, I pull the water out. So you see, and this way I have no water in the casing when it comes up, and it's fine. The water is now all here, which is fine. So you see there's no water, the casings are fine. Then what you do, I knot it. I got the habit to knot it in the beginning. So you don't leave a little bit like this here, or too much. So what you do is, get it out here. I got a bit of air here now, I'll pull the air out, and hold the skin in your right hand, if your right hand, or that way in that case. But use 2 fingers here and turn your fingers around. Yeah, so you have the fingers here, turn them sideways, then pull the casing over, turn it. With the 2 fingers, grab the skin and pull it through. And what you've done is now is you have a knot. You see that? So let's do this again. So I hold the casing here. Yeah, you see here, got 2 fingers. I take 2 fingers from here, pull them over like this. Takes a bit of practice. Pull over 2 and pull through, and I got a knot. So I don't need to fiddle along with knots. Let's do this simple. And if you get used to it, how to do it, it's very quickly. You go like that, and you have a knot in there. You see, and I can push out the knot again. It doesn't hold now. So you see here, over, grab it, pull it. That's all. That's all you need to do. So there's no real art to it. It's just a bit of technique which you learn over time. So I always keep the skin a bit moist. So here, over, and thing. And when I'm finished here, I pull it back. You see, I loosen up, and then I tighten it. You see, and now the knot doesn't open up. So the other thing is, what I can do is to, if you have a lot of air during the filling, then you see air bubbles here, a lot of air bubbles here. In that case, I know I won't have air bubbles, but if you do, you can use the back of a knife. So, the back of a knife, not the edge, the back of a knife, and just with the back itself, just hit it gently. That is enough. Cuts a little hole in there and gets the air out. So let's fill that. I'm myself here today, so let's see. So I'm twisting here, and when you fill, it's important that the sausage here is not too hard and not too soft. You see, this one is just right, so I can still twist them quite easily without breaking the casing. That's very important. So let's fill that here. So good. So now I'm finished with this one here. and now pull it off and leave that. I don't. So I got this here. I put a knot in there, and the same the knot here. This time I put over the finger. You see here. So when I have this here, I hold that. I pull it over the finger. Use the other finger, the index finger, and pull it through and push the knot towards the sausage. And that's it. So that's only a short casing. So when I twist them, there's various ways to twist them. A lot of people twist one time this way, then they twist the other way, and then they twist this way. This is not the way how to twist a sausage. So let me show you on this sort of casing. So what you do is you take the length what you want of your sausage. I mean, it's your sausage, so you can make it shorter, you can make it longer, it's up to you. But you have a knot in here on the end. So I want them around 125 grams. This length here with that casing here to here gives me about 125 to 130 grams per sausage, which makes it about 8 sausages in a kilo. So then I squeeze down with the index finger and the thumb here, gently, first here. That pushes the meat in the back here, and then here. And then that's enough. I do once, twice, 3 times. That's it. Not more. Then the next thing what I will do is I lift the sausage up and move it up here. Now here I got my measure of the first length to the second length. They're the same. So I can use this one here again, and again doing this way. The same principle again. I hold it with the with index fingers and with the thumb. I hold this one here. Even if there's a little bit left, that doesn't matter. I made the knot not too tight so the meat can move, you can see. So then I twist it again and twist it. So, and what I do is when you twist, you use, with 2 fingers you hold it, and with those 3 fingers you push your sausage, you see? Yeah? It's like you could just keep a twist. That's it. And then I got a little bit left over, so I can leave it or I can take it out. So what I will do is in that case, I take it out. You see the last knot is not open. It opens. And then all what I do is make a knot here. The same principle what I've done here. Use the 2 fingers, pull it in, pull it through, and then push the knot up. So I'm pushing the knot up all the way. So yeah, so, and push the knot up. So that's fine. Now I got these 2 sausages here, and they're ready to go. So I put them away. So now you've seen the first, or how to fill them and how to twist them. What I will do is now is I will carry on and fill the rest of it, but a little bit quicker, so you also can see what speed you normally can do once you get used to it, how to fill sausages and how to twist them. And I will also show different types of twisting as well. So let's see here, get those out here. Again, the same principle here. I see there's a bit longer one here. So let's see, there's a knot in there somewhere. It's opening now, you can feel it, and it's loose. And then again, like I showed you before, you just slide the skin around a bit, put 2 fingers in the skin and get water in there. So that will do. Get it over it and put the 2 fingers in there, like I said before here, to get the water out. So you see. And it's always clean, so you rinse the skin inside. It's very pliable as well. Unless I've used cold water, not warm water. I just don't like using warm water on meat products. It's better using cold water. So like they're not in there, so that's fine. And now fill it. That's easier to fill with 2 people once you're not used to it, because it's a bit of pain to twist and hold. And always keep this same brush on the casings and just fill it out. So that's nearly done here. So here we go. Clean a bit. So let's go. So let's see how much there's left in there. Couldn't be that much left there. So you see. Now you can see I got a bit of air here, like I said before. So you see what happens? It's going down. That's all what we want. We just want to get the air out. So, and that looks like it's the end of it. That's it. So I got casing left here. I'll pull this off here. Use the knife, leave a little bit left to cut off. Go. So now what I will do is find the beginning again. It's somewhere. So here, as you can see, there are the sausages now, and they go in the fridge now for drying a little bit. And once they are dry, I will cut them into pairs and vacuum them at about 40% or 30%, because you can't cry vacuum too much because they would squeeze out. So I literally just do it very lightly, and then they go in the freezer to be ready to be used for barbecues or frying on the frying pan. So as you can see, it's very simple to make your own sausages. This was a Bauernbratwurst now. The recipes I will blend in on that side here, and also in the description on the bottom I will put in the recipes so you have all the spices what you need and how it's been done. Like I said before, there will be an app which I'm just developing. The app will then be available from the App Store to download. I will provide a link once it's ready. That app will have all the images, the photos, the videos, the recipes, the instructions, everything on it, and it will automatically update as well as soon as I release new videos on making sausages. I hope you enjoyed that short video, and hopefully I could teach you something how to make them and give you some tips and some tricks on it. And when you try the sausages, let me know in the comments below if you like the spices the way I made them. Over time I will make hundreds of sausages. I myself have over 300 recipes collected over the years, and there's not just normal the industry standards, but there's also recipes, the old way, which we've done it before, and also some other recipes which I've made up myself and or changed certain spices to get a different flavor out of it. So if you liked this video on how to make bratwurst, please give me the thumbs up, give me a like and subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost you anything, it's just a click of a button. It helps me and also shows me that you would like to see more from this series. Another tip what I can give you is the filler will have some meat left in there, also the nozzle will have some meat left, and you will have a few bits and pieces left as you were tying up the sausages. I usually make out of this leftovers burgers and then enjoy them with a cold beer and a fresh bread, or maybe some mustard to it or ketchup, whatever fancies you. It's up to you. I hope you enjoyed it. Till then, bye bye.